So welcome everybody to the Overthrow, once again powered by Spond. And joining me today, we love our different chats, don't we? So joining me today, I've got my usual colleague, Mr. Hugh Newsom. How are we doing, buddy?
I'm good, okay.
And also with us, you might have heard of this place because it's been all over the bloody press, but we've got Rob Ferley from Square One down in Sussex, the largest indoor facility for cricket in the Northern Hemisphere, from what I can see. And I've looked around a lot of bloody facilities and I can't see anything even close to this. But also the guys who are looking at things in, shall we say, a little bit of a different way. So welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Ian. How you doing?
And we're all good, mate. All good. Let's just cut to the chase with Square One to start with, shall we? Why so big? I mean, we love it, but why so big?
Well, I think really it was opportunity. So the opportunity came to acquire and refit what used to be a tennis centre. And it did anger the three tennis players that used to play in there every week.
Oh, not three of them, surely.
No, but the uni took back the space from a Virgin Active, and we're looking to redevelop the space. And they've got a fantastic site there, and they've tried to essentially maximise the opportunity. So over the other side, there's netball courts, there's basketball courts, there's the gymnastics area, and on our side is cricket. And the reason we wanted it so big is we want to make sure everyone can get in, because actually we all know that there's a shortage of places to play, and there aren't actually many dedicated cricket centres. And if you're lucky enough to buy one, it's sort of a converted shed, or it's like 2 or 3 lanes. But also we wanted to use the space in a different way. So we've got 2 indoor cricket courts, and we're really passionate about indoor cricket. The reason for that is because we think that cricket, or we know that the research says that actually if you're not practicing the things you play in a game, then you're not really practicing cricket. And so it started life off as thinking, well, actually, if we can play more games, bring in the tactical, the emotional, the social, all of those elements, then we're going to create better learning environments for anyone that comes into those areas. And obviously, the width of the place afforded us the opportunity to have 9 nets and 20-metre run-ups. And obviously, the other thing is, when you go into Hull, fast bowlers always complain they don't have a proper run-up. So, if you're going to build something, good, why not try and make it great in all areas? And so we were very, very lucky to have that opportunity. And, every time I go in there, actually, it's really inspiring. It's a really nice place to be. It's really bright. Christian Durant, who I know you guys know really well, has done an unbelievable job. And their new Girfloor surface is really realistic, because one of the other things that you guys will know is it's terrifying batting in a lot of indoor nets, and the ball bounces through. And actually, forget about young people. I can remember going in there as an adult thinking, geez, I'm not sure I want to face X today. So actually, and we know then you go out in April and it rolls along the deck. So actually having something a little bit more representative is really good. So that's essentially the genesis of it. And so that's why it's so big. It was opportunity, really.
Absolutely. I've got to say straight away, Mr. Newsom, his eyes lit up. Indoor cricket, Hugh. How often have we heard people say something so nice like that?
I think it's one of the biggest own goals in English cricket is the lack of the pushing the indoor game. It's something that I bumped into when I took my sports mad 7-year-old to a birthday party in Derby, and there was a load of kids wandering around with cricket bats in the middle of winter. I was like, what's going on here? And there's nobody at the cricket club around me had told me that there was an indoor cricket centre in Derby, which was 10 miles away. I was relatively new to the area, and I just immediately rang them up and said, what's going on? And then he's played, and my daughter's played 2, 3, 4, 5 games a weekend for the last up until this year, for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and they've both developed massively because of it. And it particularly in the areas that you mentioned, the emotional, the tactical, these areas, these gameplay areas. So I'll chuck it. My daughter played a game last night. She batted 10 overs and won the game off the last ball. in a under 13 boys league. And I'm not showing off about my daughter there, but I think indoor cricket is the reason she's that's just another game, whereas kids that play 6 times a year on an under 11s team, you might have an 8-game fixture or 10 league fixtures. 2 of them get rained off. How often are you going to be exposed to those moments in games? Well, if you play an indoor cricket, you're probably getting exposed to them every time you bat, because every ball is under pressure. You've got to run, you've got to move, you've got to get to the, you've got to win your skin, you've got to win your game, you've got to bowl slower balls, you can bowl spin. It's just, I don't know, it's just, for me, indoor cricket just seems to be the perfect development game. Now, maybe when they get older, you might need to diverge, but yeah, from age 7 to 15, I can't think of something better to be doing in the winter if you want to play cricket.
Does that sum it up for you, Mr. Rob Ferley?
Well, yeah, and I think ultimately the problem we have is space, isn't it, everywhere? So if you think about the courts as a piece of real estate, it's probably like, if you get it flourishing and flying, then it obviously it does work as a business model. But for other people, they probably look at it and go, there's easier ways to guarantee a return on investment. And ultimately, unfortunately, that's why it's not done. But it's a great point, and that was the starting point. And we're going to talk about net battles, but essentially that was the first point. When we moved in, it was the way of us gamifying it. And over the last 4 or 5 years, because it's taken that long to get this done, the tech and some of our ideas have allowed us to try and create some of the things that Hugh's talked about actually in the nets.
Yeah. I mean, just one. I think that you mentioned the space, but also the real estate and the cost of that, and it's a fair point, particularly in the age of e-commerce with warehouse space being at a premium. But I also think people's opinions of indoor cricket are somewhat outdated, and I think leadership's opinions of indoor cricket are also outdated, because yes, you could say, okay, yes, it's a bit expensive. Well, there's plenty of grants around for developing cricket in rural areas, inner city areas, etc. Well, if you're trying to get inner city cricket going, then you build an indoor cricket centre, because you can get 3 games through in a small space. If you get 3 lanes in 2 lanes, and you can just get a churn of games going through all day, and a relatively minimal investment from up on high. Yes, it's investment from the business, but surely there should be some level of support coming from ECB, because I'm just looking at Derbyshire, the amount of kids that are being produced by Derbyshire who have played indoor cricket at a very good level. They're kicking on and heading towards the pro game hugely on the back of their early years in indoor cricket. And these aren't private school kids. These are state school kids that have just been exposed week in, week out to a really high level of competition.
Absolutely.
I think that the ECB don't value it, obviously, because they don't invest in it, and they don't even accredit it, do they? In this country, there's a different organisation, and I think there's probably some politics around that, which I don't know the full details around. But it would be nice if someone was to come in from a governing body point of view and take a hold of it and try and roll it out. And actually, one of the things that we obviously want to do in our big dream is have lots of centres, so that we can have lots of my sort of commitment to Square One, if we do extra ones and it's working, it's always the same, that you actually, yes, you do have 2 cricket courts. Yes, it is always, quite a big space. And we're looking at ways how to execute that, because that gamification and the fact that you only need 6 players to play, so you don't need 11. Like, actually, one of the problems in the girls' game is actually finding 11 who are willing and wanting to, and then also the experience of actually a game of cricket for 11 people, and how often at times it's mismanaged, so you don't actually get much of a go, and you end up not necessarily being engaged in cricket. So I do think it's a great format, and a bit of a shout out to Aaron Watson, who's played a bit of indoor cricket for England, I believe, in the over 40s, and he coaches them, and he introduced it to me. And I'll be honest with you, Hugh, I was probably one of those people that said, come on, mate, I'm not sure how good this is. But as I've seen it played more and more, I can start to see that actually all of that, roundedness around developing those skills is absolutely brilliant. So yeah,
particularly at the young end, when kids, it's hard to, if you plonk a sporty non-cricket kid in a field on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, they might hit the ball 10 times and they might touch it 3 times in the field. And there's a lot of sky gazing going on and twirling and things like that. You plonk them in an indoor cricket game and they are involved from ball
non-stop,
to the end. And I think that's where, and I think you can really hook them at that age. And then from that, actually they want to then go and experience some of the, the outdoor skills. So I just think it's a brilliant thing. It's something the Australians have developed for years. Every single Australian cricketer pretty much has played a lot of indoor cricket, from Steve Smith, Michael Clarke through to the Ward brothers and so on. They've all played tons of it as part of their pathways.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's my rant over and done with you.
That's a rant that we've had for a couple of years now. He's been waiting to get that one out again. But we're big supporters, full stop. And I think what you've done down there is square one, and being able to balance it between the nets and the actual gamification, Rob, is the key to it. And that brings us neatly round to the gamification and what we're talking about here in particular, the net battles that you guys are going to put on in August.
Yeah, well, Hugh's actually done a great job of giving some of the reasons. So net battles is indoor cricket on steroids, really, because everything you just said about touches, hitting the ball, bowling the ball, not standing around, always being involved, that's what net battles is. So net battles is a 50-ball game where you come, in this instance, in August, we're launching today the UK Junior Championships. You come with a friend as a pair, and you come with 3 pairs as a club, and you play against other teams. And a game takes 1 hour. You bat 50 balls in a pair, and you bowl 50 balls in a pair. So 25 balls each with the bat, 25 balls each with the ball, done. And the event that we're running in August, and we're really excited about it, is for under 11s to 15s, boys and girls. And what we really want is for clubs to come down. It's a 2-day event. We've actually got overnight accommodation if you're traveling from afar. If you haven't, and then you can come each day. And it's 6 games over 2 weekends. And if you think about how much cricket you're getting in that, it's the equivalent of 25 overs of batting and bowling. So it's a really fun thing that we think will really help. And just to bring it to life a little bit, when we say we're playing a game, the tech in the centre actually scores the game and shows you. So if you run up and bowl the ball, like Hawkeye, it will give you all of the stats. It will show you where you bowled. And that's interesting to some degree. But what we really want to know is whether the batsman scores runs off it, how many runs. And so we've got big monitors at the back of the screen. And as they hit the ball is tracked all the way. So if you hit the ball for 4, it will show you. It has the field settings so you can see where the field is. And it really is a game of cricket in the net over in an hour. And I don't know, but one of the things that I've always thought about recent times, people say, oh, why do you not play cricket? And if I'm being completely honest, I think it's because I don't want to field. So like even I might want to do a net battle. Like I actually think that's quite cool. And the other thing that I think is really important about trying to make it really easy for people to access is actually only needing 2 players and only needing an hour. That's quite a good sell, isn't it? Because actually trying to get 11 players, obviously there are clubs that are doing it and it's really good, but it isn't easy. It isn't easy, and it isn't easy to give everyone a go. So we're really excited about this format, and we're talking about the UK Junior Championships between 11 and 15. But Ian, we've been talking about how we extend this to the adult leagues over the winter, because often you'll get together as a group of Premier League cricketers and think, what we're going to do, a bit of a team build, let's go and play some golf, let's go and do X and Y and Z. But actually, why not come and play in like a net battles league where you can end up being like champions of the UK just in time for going outside again. So we're looking at building that, and obviously we'll probably direct people to our website there to sign up and show interest in that. But it's a really fun concept, and the hardest thing for me, hopefully I've done a decent job of explaining it, but if you have any questions, it's hard for me because I've sort of been living and breathing it. But for people who are new to this, it might be quite hard to visualize. I suppose the easiest way to think about it is if you were to go and play on a golf course, you know, when you go to like a golf place and you play on a TrackMan and you go around and play the course, something very similar to that, but for cricket.
Yeah, so we've got a bowler's bowling, batters facing, and that's the only two that you need.
Yeah, so that will be our 1v1. We've gone for the junior championship. We've gone 2v2 because I think it's nice to come with a mate, isn't it? And be involved with a mate. So you play in this instance 2v2, which will be a team. And because we're going to make it a club thing, we're asking teams bring 3 pairs. So it's a bit like when you go and play a tennis fixture, you bring 3 pairs, you play against, you'll have your number 1 ranked pair, number 2 ranked pair, and then if you win 2 out of the 3 games, you get the points. And then you go and play, you'll play in a group stage, and then we'll have, you know, the final days on the last day. But everyone will play 6 games. Everyone with the batting, we talked a lot about this, and you know, we talked about the good players, you know, stealing the strike and, you know, doing all of this stuff. And we thought to ourselves, well, actually, if we have bowlers bowling alternate balls and we have batters facing 5 balls in blocks, we get the benefit of also making it more time efficient as well. But we also have a situation where batters are actually facing the same amount of balls. Because you've probably played with some players who are very good at getting one off the last ball of the over. So if we're going to try and make people, you know, be involved, we want them to be involved. And the twist to that is for the last 10 balls, what you said, Hugh, we want people to learn to win or lose games of cricket. And so for that last 10, it's called the final 10, and the batters alternate every ball. So it's be quite cool.
So the batters don't need to physically run in between the wickets because the tech tells them how many runs they've scored. But they'll stand there, face 5 balls, swap like pairs cricket, swap after 5 balls. They're done that way. The bowlers could keep moving through it quickly because obviously alternate balls, that keeps things moving. Hence why you get down to an hour-long game.
Yeah, and no fielding, which I'm selling quite hard.
Is it just like, can we launch it for the back net and go for 6s? But there's obviously, then you can get out, out court if you don't quite nail it. How does that work?
Well, exactly. So the algorithms and I'm not going to begin to try and explain what happens in the back end, but ultimately you hit the ball. If it goes into where a fielder isn't, you'll get runs. If you hit it to a fielder, it'll be a dot ball. The interesting thing for net battles, one of the things that is almost impossible to do, if you think about tech, no balls, stumpings, LBWs, all of those contentious things, we've just removed it. So it is a game of runs. So we say like dot ball is a holy grail for the bowler. So there are no wickets. And again, we wanted to do that because, you know, then you start to say, well, if they get, 3 or 4 wickets, then it's the end of innings. Well, actually, you've come. Why would you want to deny someone the opportunity to play? So you're absolutely right. If you nail it for 6, you get 6 runs. And there's a couple of modes. There's a Lord's pitch. There's an Old Trafford pitch. So you can choose a couple of those different test grounds. And the boundary sizes are all pre-programmed. So if you play at under 11s, they're all the ECB sizes. So if you're an under 11, you don't have to like whack it 70 metres to get a 6. I think somewhere like 35 metres. And then the fielders as well. And this is really cool. So if the adults come and play, the fielders will be better. So just like you'd have...
You're not playing in my league, have you then?
No. Well, yeah, exactly. So that's essentially it. So everything that you'd imagine when you play a normal game is what happens in a net battle.
Very good. It's like in the Matrix. I think I seem to remember Keanu Reeves learning drunken boxing as one of his Matrix download things. Well, you could load fielding standard Division 7 South. As the fielding standard, just if you fancy a day out. Yeah,
absolutely. So, going to run how many weekends in August are you going to run it for, Rob?
Well, the events are 2-day events. So if you're in the under 11s boys competition, it will be 2-day events, and the dates are on the website. But we're going back to back for 18 days actually. So there's 9 events that are each 2 days each. So that's the format. And then obviously we have put out there on our website, and I know you guys are sort of Premier League. Our hope is actually for August, that time of year, actually junior cricket is actually diminishing. So it's a good time to do it. But what we think for the adults is doing something through the winter over weekends. So come down for the weekend, play in your sort of regional group or your group, and then get if you win, you get through to like a finals day somewhere around February, March time.
Absolutely. And I've spoken to half a dozen clubs now, off the record, giving them an idea. They all guessed where it might be because size of the place is a bit of a giveaway, technology, a bit of a giveaway. But when you say to a club, and you only need 6 players, their eyes light up. It's quite an easy thing. There's 6 lads who between end of September and Christmas will play cricket week in, week out if they can. They've just not had the ability to do it because it's not been out there. So for a club to pick up 6 players, it's an easy thing to do there. And I can already see, I'm going to be blunt about this, down south, it could become really competitive because it's quite localised. But I've spoken to clubs north of Birmingham who've gone, we could send 6 lads down, no problem at all. There's accommodation on site, even better. And that's sort of all.
Is there a bar on site? That's the main thing. I'm
not getting involved in that bit.
I think Brighton's quite lively if you want it to be. So
just a bit. But that makes it easier. The accommodation is at the university next door?
Yeah, exactly. So the accommodation, obviously students, there's space for 800 students that live on the Falmer side. The Falmer side, by the way, is a really interesting place because you've got Brighton Football Club right next door. There's quite a bit of a buzz around it. And it's 5 minutes on a train into Brighton. Single ensuite accommodation in blocks of 8. So you'll be with your team. So, for example, in the junior championship, obviously your coach and then the 6 players, you've got shared like living room and kitchen as well. But there's obviously breakfast is part of the package as well. So it's really weird because when I say I feel lucky, I do feel lucky because actually to have that right next door is absolutely perfect. And the fact that it's sort of single rooms en suite, I've done festivals before and it's in dorms and you always have a little bit of a niggle, thinking, do I really want to go and stay with 3 other people in a room? So actually you can be with your team in a day and then you've got your own space and that hopefully will work really well for people.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm thinking from a Premier League point of view, you've got the facility there. I assume that facility is it going to be taken over completely by the net battles for that period, or will you still have like lanes available, say if you want a more traditional net session for a Premier League side?
So in terms of the winter, what we've actually tried to do is for the junior championships, the whole of the nets will be taken. We've obviously got the indoor courts to be used as well for people to play in if they want whilst they're waiting. But in the winter, we are going to just limit it to 6. So we're going to have 4 teams at once playing at once, and then we'll have 3 nets because obviously we've got local clubs and different people that want to use it as well. So there will be other spaces available for people when they come down.
So you could do a double, Premier League side, book up, a few lanes of a fantastic indoor facility to have a bit of a serious training session, and they can have a huge amount of fun doing the net battle, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think ultimately it's an interesting thing because I see a number of different things. We've talked about getting 6 players, but actually we're thinking about having the pairs championship as well, and we're going to offer the 1v1 as well, where you just need yourself. I often feel a bit bad for the wicket keepers, though, if I'm honest.
I think everyone should feel bad for the wicket keepers.
Yeah,
no, I don't because Hugh is a wicket keeper, so I never feel bad for them.
But I thought about bringing in. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to say actually you can have a sidearm as well. So you can have if you're a keeper and you're good with the sidearm, you can come and play with the sidearm. I'm not sure how that would work or whether that would annoy people, especially as one of my students the other day threw on the sidearm at 103 miles per hour. So I'm not sure.
Wow,
that would be that would be too nice. That's
motoring.
But I think if you give a wicketkeeper a sidearm, that's not a good move, is it? They've got a vengeance, to take it out on people. They've spent the year getting battered. They've lost teeth. They've broken noses, broken fingers. You give them a sidearm, and you're facing someone who's been bowling at them for years. That might not end well. So I can imagine Geraint Jones pretty handy with a sidearm if he got going.
I've actually just thought of another benefit of not having the keepers is no smelly gloves in square one, which is always a bonus.
No smelly people, full stop.
Joe Russell's famous for brushing his teeth, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit quieter as well. Bringing it back to the net battles, though, one of the things that I find fascinating about this, Rob, is, and we spoke about it a bit previously, I put something out on Instagram in February, and I'd love to have been able to do this year, but it was a bit of a tempter. I put something out in February to say to Premier League players, how do you fancy a mixed net with different Premier League players all at the same place? Because let's be honest, you turn up at your club in the winter, you start maybe November, December, whichever club you're at, and you're basically facing your mates who you'll never face on a Saturday, ever, categorically. And the response I got within 48 hours, 30 players willing to travel up to 2 hours to actually have a net against oppos from other clubs, other leagues, the lot. This is what Net Battles does, isn't it?
Well, I thought that was a great idea when you mentioned it, and it doesn't surprise me because obviously, you like playing with your mates, but it's those different challenges. And we've sort of seen this, haven't we, with the franchise stuff where players are going and playing and sort of learning from each other. Yeah. And I think it depends. If you're really competitive, you might want to not get involved in that because you think you're giving away trade secrets. But actually, most people in cricket want to get better, want to help people. So I thought it was a great idea. And obviously, the net battles obviously is an extension of that idea and being able to compete against people and there be something on it. I think that's one of the main things. Hugh, you mentioned it with the six side. You're absolutely right. The thing that I love about net battles and just training in square one with the art technology is that you're setting fields, you're getting consequences, you're seeing what worked, you're seeing what didn't work, but ultimately you're putting yourself in a situation where you've been there many times before, and that's what experience is. And when people are good at finishing games or bowling well at the death, it's often come through those experiences. So actually it's mental, isn't it? For 7 months of the year we're indoors and we can't create those scenarios. No. The other strange thing which you obviously mentioned, Hugh, was in Australia and New Zealand how popular it is, and they've actually got the climate they don't even need to be indoors, do they? We're in England for 7 months of the year and we don't actually embrace it. So I think that element to it, Ian, is massive, and that from a fun point of view, I think is brilliant. From a social point of view, I think it's brilliant. But then from a purely coaching point of view, I think it's giving people so many opportunities to develop, reflect, and go again. And that's what makes me excited. If it's ticking those three boxes, that's why we're really excited about seeing it in August and seeing what people think of it.
Yeah, I mean, just from a technological point of view, I mean, if you're trying to learn the sweep, the reverse sweep, you can do that in a net or winter, like you say, and there's no consequences where actually you go, okay, well, let's set this up, let's set a field and let's see, how many I can get in the gap, how many, and can I move the field? Can I get this right? So you're playing, you're just leveling up your practice, aren't you? That's your practice is just more, it just has more importance to the outcome, and therefore you're just gonna get instant feedback on your practice, I suppose. That feedback loop that isn't there in the winter, because oh yeah, that was a nice shot. Well, you might have just nailed that to the fielder 30 times, or you might have not got hold of it. It's dribbled for one. Whereas this technology is letting you see the immediate feedback and your success and failure rates.
Yeah, and I think what's really important there from a developmental perspective is something that Hugh and I go on about week in, week out almost, is we see these players go over to Australia, New Zealand, etc. for the winter, and very few of those players come back worse players because they've been out there, they've been practicing, they've been playing on different style pitches, they've been facing different style bowlers, and they're just development in real world gamification, actual games over there. And what you're doing, Rob, is bringing that indoors to, as we say, a country that we can't do much about the weather in the winter.
Well, that feedback loop's really important as well. So if you think about it, and you may not have thought about this because it's pretty niche, if we are coaching people and we don't know what's happened, so we don't have that feedback loop, we're still learning things, right? But what we focus on is what does the shape of the shot look like, and did we middle it? Now, those two things aren't actually important to the outcome, and we obsess over technique and how someone looks. But you can't blame us as coaches, because when we're in a net, we want to be helpful, right? And it's the only thing we see. And therefore, when you bring in the game and you automatically open up the tactical element, where are your singles? Where are your boundary options? How are you going to rotate the strike? So you start talking tactically in a way that didn't exist before, because you couldn't have that reflection. And then you get that feedback loop on, actually, you've nailed 3 balls there, but they've all gone to backward point. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change your plan? So you open up these rich conversations that every coach wants to have, but actually feels really restricted in a room, in a net. And often, again, the age-old argument, that's gone for 6, that's gone for 4. What are you talking about, mate? That's out. Actually, now that question's answered. I mean, I've still played in the nets. There's people still argue that the tech at times is wrong because they don't like the outcome, right? But at least it's there and it's impartial and it's giving you that outcome. So that's really important from a coaching point of view, because you're starting to evolve the coaching conversations. And actually, one of the things that you find, or I find, is that young players now sometimes get very confused with lots of different technical inputs. And actually, this environment creates a space where those conversations aren't happening as frequently because they don't need to be. So again, I think it's a winner, and it's a shout out to the guys at ARC who are sort of pioneering this with their tech, and they're really passionate about it. And I think ultimately, it's something that if it could be everywhere, you think about it from an ECB point of view, if it could be everywhere, it probably should be everywhere. But it's that question again, coming back to the cost of these things. And at the moment, the tech, like all things that are first into the tech market, is quite expensive.
It is. And I think what's really interesting for me, though, is that if you go back 20 years ago, as you say, Rob, and you look what golf was doing with its simulators, and it was only the people with the most money, and it was a footballer who had a spare room he could put a golf simulator in. Now it's a TV show. This has gone that big in America that they have bloody audiences and crowds coming into a studio to watch guys hit a ball into a screen. And it just blows my mind, that. So to see what ARC have done with this technology and to utilise it, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's 3 first-class counties have been using this in the last few months as well. I've seen a report on that recently. Really good, interesting feedback from them. This is only going in one direction, this technology. This is all, but we're not at base level right now. It's a long way advanced, but it's still got a long way to go until it's never going to be perfect, because guess what? Technology can't mirror what's inside, outside the full works. But actually, you're on a path that's just taking it to go all that way. Do we have indoor cricket on TV? You just don't know, do you?
Well, a friend of mine said you might kill normal cricket here, Rob, in net battles. Now, I don't. One, I don't want that, and 2, I don't think that. But what I do think it will enable a lot of people to do is come and get involved in the game, get lots of opportunity. My contention is that cricket's difficult to learn, and often because of once it goes out of pairs, if you're not good enough by then, the game's pretty cruel, isn't it? I mean, the game's pretty cruel if you're good, to be fair. But if you're not very good, then you don't tend to get much opportunity. You face less balls, you bowl less balls. Therefore, you don't get as good as those people that are doing it. And very quickly, there becomes a gap. And one day you turn around and you say, well, actually, I don't really like standing in the field doing nothing all day. So if you can play these formats and if you can get these extra balls in the winter, in environments that are going to make you better, you've got far better chance of retaining people at those key moments when usually drop out. So my contention isn't that it will take over, but it will feed the game, hopefully, and be an alternative for people that perhaps don't have the time or don't want to be exposed in that different way.
Absolutely. It also makes practice fun. Practice can 100%. Be a bit monotonous, and it sounds brilliant. I want to go. It sounds like a right laugh. So if you can make practice more fun, then you're always on to a winner anyway, aren't you?
100%. That's what it's all about. Hey, you mentioned the word opportunity in there, Rob, but it'd be amiss of me not to mention one of the other huge opportunities that you guys are involved in down with the university and the cricket courses that you guys have been putting out there in the last few months.
Yeah, so the university program is something that myself actually. So Square One is officially myself and Sir Rod Aldridge, but there's a third part to this in Dr. Jim Wallace, and I do a podcast with him. If you ever bored and want to listen, then do so. And Jim's role is he looks at he's an expert in the science of coaching. And the reason we started Square One is we're frustrated that at 18, it's very difficult if you don't get a professional contract to keep developing your cricket. And actually, there is a huge amount that we know about how we identify talent that is flawed, not because people want it to be flawed, but actually, people develop at different rates. People have had different opportunities. And actually, when you're picking at 18, you're picking at 14, 15, because you're starting to narrow down. So those opportunities get less. So I was very lucky to go to Durham at a time when the UCCE system was flying. And, there was 6 very clear outlets for people to go. Unfortunately, the MCC took over that, and now it sort of stands alone. And therefore, there isn't a place. There aren't lots of places you can go and get opportunities to get world-class coaching in world-class facilities whenever you want. And so we've essentially opened up 60 scholarship places, and we've had a really, really good response. Lots of people changing their minds about where they want to go for 2026. But the key point here is that it's not a 2026 thing only. It is the start of something that will continue to go each year. And we've got our scholarship day in October for 2027. And we've already seen people sign up for entry into 2028. So if you are interested in wanting to go to university and you do love your cricket and you're curious to see how good you can be, then I think the University of Brighton is a great place for you to be.
And to be on a cricket scholarship with you guys, they're going to learn, they're going to do what other courses they do, etc. But they're going to get, as you say, top class coaching in the number one facility in the country, and they're going to get it on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah, one of the main things that is interesting, yes, we've got the good coaches. So Mark Robinson will be coaching. Obviously, he won the World Cup with the women. He won a championship with Warwickshire. Hugely experienced guy. Myself and James Treadwell. James Treadwell's a good friend of mine. He's actually an umpire in the summer. You'll see him around the traps. But he's a brilliant, obviously, coach, a level 4 coach, spin guru, and actually one of, I don't know if you remember him much as a cricketer, but was always sort of lauded as this brilliant mind as well. And to have those 2 characters involved is really great. It's not only them, it will be other people as well. Yeah. But one of the interesting things is people get better by playing. People get better by taking responsibility. This is what's unique about University of Brighton. Yes, we've got a good program, but you can come any time in the daytime as a person who's on the cricket program and play in our nets at no cost. Now, if you go to other unis, they share facilities with lots of different people. Yeah. And one of the things you said about the size of our place is we don't have that problem. So you can come with a mate, and that's where some of the good learning takes place, isn't it? Where you come down with your friends who are at the same level, and you challenge each other and you go and practice. So yes, there's the 15 to 20 hours of guided, direct time with the coaches, but there's also almost infinite amount of time where you can come down and play with your other players and peers in that group. And that to me is really unique. And actually it's hard to replicate because you don't often have a facility that is cricket dedicated and isn't necessarily being fully occupied in the daytime. So, it's a great opportunity.
We've got this, just the cross-contamination of ideas between keen cricketers. That's, if you put cricketers in a room together, collectively, they're all going to make each other better, aren't they? Just by, talking and bowling each other and battling and sharing ideas and techniques.
Yeah, definitely. I think I do think the tech's quite important in that as well, because if you come in and I think sometimes if you have cricketers in a room and they're just batting and bowling each other, they can get wrapped up in their technique and then actually confuse each other and actually end up worse. And I certainly got worse as I finished my career because I had too many ideas. So actually having that environment where you can play and let the game teach you it is really important.
Absolutely. So where can people find out about net battles and the university courses, Rob?
So it's all on our website. It's pretty simple to find. So it's squareoneeducation.co.uk, but if you type in Square One Cricket, it will come up. Yeah. And there are two tabs, very clear, net battles or University Academy, right at the top. All the information you need. And obviously there's a contact us as well if you're having any problems. We've also got there's a phone number on there if you want to ring someone at the centre if you had any questions. So hopefully we've got all things covered. But we're just looking forward to, like, we've launched today on the net battles, and we're really excited to see who wants to come and the first cohort in and keep evolving it, because I think, like we've mentioned, there's so many different rabbit holes we can go down with it.
Absolutely. I think I could summarise this entire conversation with education, cricketer development, indoor cricket. It's like Rob's been listening to us for the last 2 years, Hugh, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think these are problems that gamers faced. How do you make the game better? I think everyone's kind of asking these same questions, aren't they? We're all looking at how can we make the game better? How can we make it expose the game to more people? How can we raise the standards of the youth coming through? Equality, diversity, all these kind of things. These are all really relevant things. So anything that happens in outside of the traditional sphere of the game is good. And this looks like a really exciting development.
Absolutely. Now, I can't let you go, Rob, with also not mentioning one other person, because you happen to have one of our close friends coming down to spend some days with you as well. And it's education again. You've got our mate, Mr. Tom Scollay from Cricket Mentoring in the summer.
Yeah, we put on hopefully a great event with Cricket Mentoring. It's at the start of August. Again, you will see that posted on his channels. We're just about to launch it. It's a 3-day camp aimed at cricketers between the ages of sort of 13 to 17, 3 days. Lots of different opportunities to learn in different spheres. So if you're a spinner, you'll be working with great spin coaches. With the batting, we've got those batting things. We've got Josh Sivia, the wicket-keeping coach guy, coming down as well. So you're working your individual domains. And then obviously Tom's big passion is the mindset. So there'll be master classes going on there. There'll be S&C stations. So you'll be carouselling around those throughout the day. Again, opportunities to stay overnight for the two nights overnight. And I really think one of the things that I love about festivals, those moments when you stay with a group of people who love the same thing as you, the new friendships that you get from doing that are actually golden. And, I can remember going down to the Taunton Festival when I was younger, but you guys will, the idea of touring and being with your mates, not only playing in the day, but then in the evenings, I actually think is something that we're losing a little bit. And so, again, one of the lucky things of having it at the uni, we wouldn't be able to have this if it was based anywhere else, because you wouldn't really be able to coordinate hotels, etc.
No.
So I think that's a really great thing. And I know Tom's really passionate about it, and he's actually road showing around the country. So if you don't get the chance to come down and be part of that, there's plenty of other places where you can see him in the UK in the summer, I think.
Absolutely, and we'll be supporting Tom with that across the summer. We're going to be talking to him in the next week or two as well, and pushing that out there. It's been great chatting, Rob. You, as I said in my summary, you're covering all our favourite subjects. Cricket is our passion, but all those other things that are interlinked. Keep doing what you're doing at Square One, mate. And we look forward to the net battles being some fabulous cricket, but let's have some fun as well, eh?
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure, mate.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Here's everything you need to know about Net Battles UK Club Championships. Square One will be hosting a series of 2-day action-packed events where clubs go head-to-head playing net battles. Each club is represented by 3 pairs, who each play 3 net battles per day. If you win your net battle, you'll contribute points to your club's total, and by the end of the 2 days, winners will be crowned. Championships are planned for boys and girls teams, with age group events running for boys teams from under 11 to under 15 and girls teams from under 12 to under 15. It costs just £120 per player for 2 days, and if you want to stay the night on campus with your team, it's £189 per player with breakfast included, and your coach stays for free. Events for adults and other age groups are in the pipeline, so sign up to be the first to hear about upcoming events. To find out more information, head to the Square One website to register your interest and secure priority booking for your club. Places for each championship are limited, so book soon to avoid missing out.